Hello students. Today we will discuss anesthesia for the kidney transplant. The benzodiazepines or alprazolam for anxiety of the patients can be given. S2 receptor and blockers like pentosids can be prescribed. Morning dose of immunosuppressive or antihypertensive should be taken. Choice of anesthesia is general anesthesia with controlled ventilation. Position of patient supine. Care of AV fistula should be taken, that is IV line. Blood pressure cuff should not be on same side of the extremity of fistula. IV drip in situ, which has been used to give the immunosuppressive therapy on previous day, same can be used for induction of anesthesia. Monitors are attached in the form of ECG, NIBP, pulse ox, temperature maintenance, and fluid warmer. After induction and endotracheal intubation, invasive monitoring can be started. Monitoring in the form of ETCO2, CVP, temperature probe, intra-arterial monitoring if required, and urine output monitoring should be done. Strict asepsis should be maintained. Intraoperative ABG with serum electrolytes done after induction, before and after reperfusion. Hypovolemia and hypotension should be avoided. It is detrimental to newly formed kidney. CRF patients kept dry to prevent fluid volume overload and to avoid need for the post-operative dialysis. The transplant patient should be wet with supernormal intravascular volume. Why? To ensure adequate flow to the new renal graft after opening the clamps. CVP, it should be within 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury at a time of arterial clamps are released. Then inotropes like dopamine should not be used routinely. Inhalational agents and opioids are tailored in such a manner to maintain systolic blood pressure at or more than 140 millimeters of mercury. Why? To ensure adequate flow to the new graft. The new kidney requires adequate perfusion to ensure optimal function. Appropriate hydration during the renal transplant is utmost important. CVP reflects pulmonary artery diastolic pressure. Intra-arterial pressure monitoring in patients with cardiovascular and pulmonary disease or poorly controlled hypertension should be done. Arterial cannula should not be inserted on same side of the AV fistula. Avoid intraoperative renal insult. Maintain isovolemia, adequate cardiac output, and renal perfusion pressure. Patients with renal disease are sensitive to the barbiturates and benzodiazepines. Why? It is secondary to decrease in protein binding. Narcotics like morphine, pethidine should be used judiciously. They have active metabolites and it has got prolonged activity. Fentanyl and remifentanil are better choices. Succinylcholine may be used if patient's serum potassium level is normal. Atracurium doesn't rely on the renal function for its elimination, so it is drug of choice. Vicurinium can be used, but it has got prolonged effects. NSAID should be avoided. Now we will see about the intraoperative fluid therapy. Crystalloids distributed in the interstitial space and colloids remain in the intravascular space. IV fluid of choice is 0.9% normal saline. It is frequently administered crystalloid. It is devoid of potassium. It minimizes risk of electrolyte imbalance and cardiac dysarrhythmias. A recent study shows plasma light is a best metabolic profile. Delayed return of renal function is associated with 20 to 40% decrease in graft survival. Anesthesiologists should aggressively expand the vascular volume to promote diuresis during anesthesia for kidney transplant. High CVP at a time of unclamping the renal artery after anastomosis provide more favorable outcome. Carlier et al. Showed that maximum hydration during anesthesia is 100 ml per kg normal saline and it elevates right heart pressure associated with early graft function. There are different measures. Measures used to enhance urine output during kidney transplant. Number 1, mannitol. Number 2, loop diuretics. Mannitol, it confers protection against renal ischemia by increasing tubular urine formation by scavenging free radicals. Dose of mannitol is 0.7 to 1 gram per kg. Mannitol infusion is started when renal anastomosis is commenced. Large doses of mannitol can induce renal vasoconstriction, pulmonary edema. Second is loop diuretics. Loop diuretics inhibit sodium potassium ATPase pump, decreases tubular oxygen consumption, which offers protection against ischemic injury. Third, aggressive intraoperative volume expansion, keeping CVP 10 to 15 millimeters of mercury, is recommended. Why? To avoid acute tubular necrosis secondary to inadequate intraoperative hydration. 20% albumin 0.8 to 1.6 ml per kg may improve graft survival, urine output and early graft function. Now we will see influence of renal disease on pharmacodynamics and kinetics of the drugs. Number 1, midazolam. There is no difference in elimination half-life. It is administered slowly in titrated doses. Then thiopental. There is no difference in dose required to induce anesthesia in healthy patient and CRF. Propofol. There is no major alteration in elimination half-life or clearance in patient with CRF. Infusion of propofol also be used. Then fentanyl. There is no alteration in fentanyl binding in patients with uremia. Then neuromuscular relaxants. Rapid sequence of intubation in renal transplant recipients in absence of hyperkalemia can be done with suxamethonium. Large doses of atracurium, cisatracurium and rocurium are the other alternatives in hyperkalemia. Atracurium. No difference in duration of neuromuscular blockade from initial dose of atracurium or repeated doses. It has got rapid recovery. Anticholinesterases pharmacokinetics are similar. Inhalational anesthetic agents. All volatile anesthetics are myocardial depressants. They decreases cardiac output. They decreases blood flow to transplanted kidney. Isoflurane. It has got limited biotransformation to inorganic fluoride and agent of choice. CO. Less stable. 3% absorbed dose undergo biotransformation. Now we will see about the extubation. Patient with end-stage renal disease can experience prolonged effect of intraoperative analgesia and neuromuscular agents. But in clinical practice, not a big issue. Most of the patients are awake. They can be extubated at the end of the procedure, provided transplanted kidney starts functioning. The maintaining fluid balance and adequate perfusion is a main task. ABG to ascertain hemodynamic status and corrective measures are taken. Then postoperative management. Aim. Patient should be warm, well perfused postoperatively. Fluid regime depending upon central venous pressure, urine output of the previous hour. In stable patient, oliguria should trigger a surgical review and urgent Doppler imaging Doppler imaging of graft blood flow. Acidosis is common due to impaired excretion and overproduction of acid. Hyperventilation of mechanically ventilated patient helps to normalize pH, but spontaneously breathing patients are unable to maintain adequate minute ventilation to restore the normal pH. It is essential to recognize impending respiratory failure early and to intubate and mechanically ventilate the patient before cardiorespiratory collapse ensues. Patient with severe metabolic acidosis at the end of surgery should not be extubated until metabolic derangements are corrected sufficiently and support of spontaneous ventilation. Soda bicarb should be given IV in mechanically ventilated patients when pH is below normal as indicated by ABG. 100% correction can be done. There is catecholamine based vasoconstriction. Soda bicarb restores effectiveness of exogenous catecholamines and vascular tone. Soda bicarb should be given slowly to avoid overproduction of carbon dioxide. It can easily transverse intracellularly, converting to carbonic acid, and it causes intracellular acidosis. Now we will see the postoperative analgesia. IV opioids are the mainstay of the analgesia. Fentanyl can be used. Patient control analgesia can be used. Epidural anesthesia with narcotics is superior to the parenteral analgesia. NSAID causes reversible kidney damage. It decreases renal blood flow, decreases GFR, causes edema, interstitial nephritis. So NSAID should be avoided. Then we will see the post-operative complication. Post-operative number one complication is delayed graft function. The causes are renal hypoperfusion, NSAID, hypovolemia, hemodynamic instability. Hemodialysis is immediate post-operative period before transplantation is associated with poor outcome. Second, opportunistic infection. As patient is on immunosuppressive therapy, treatment broad spectrum antibiotics should be given. Then there may be sleep disorders and there may be weight gain. Thank you very much.